Okay, so what's important when we've gone through all of these different types of lines of defense, so you've got your cell-mediated immunity and your humoral immunity, is that we get a little confused about which one's which. So I've put together a table to try and help us to identify what our main similarities are and what our main differences are. So this is the table that we're going to be looking at. Now, honestly, it is well worth your time to pause and use a pencil and try and figure out whether or not you know the answers to these questions. So for the humoral immune system, which is the one we just finished off on, so cell-mediated was the first one. So cell-mediated here was the first system we looked at, and this humoral immunity was the second system we looked at. But they're not in order like that. It just depends on how they're acting. So I want you to think, what are the main cells involved? Where do those cells develop? Do they produce antibodies? How are the pathogens identified? How are the pathogens killed? And how do cells divide once they are stimulated? So I want you to pause and give it a go, and then I'll come back and go through the answers. All right. So you might not have filled it in all, but let's have a look. So main cells involved. B cells with the humoral, T cells with the cell-mediated. Nice. These guys are made and produced in the bone marrow. That's why they're called B cells. These ones are made in the bone marrow, but they mature in the thymus gland. That's why they're called T cells. T for thymus. This one does involve antibodies. This one doesn't involve antibodies. The pathogens are identified because they are floating around in the blood or body fluids. Okay, that's why the humor was the body fluids. This one, the second one, the humoral immunity, it is on the surface of infected cells. So that's what it's looking for, infected cells. What is it? Cells. All right, so how are they killed? By antibodies in this one, we want to add in here SNAP, okay, by specialized killer T cells, and we want to add in that they're poking holes in cell membranes. Okay, that's good. And how do they divide, or what do they divide into? So they divide the B cells, or the humoral immunity, you get B plasma cells and B memory cells, B plasma, B memory. Whereas in this one, we divide into cytotoxic T cells down here. And so there's a couple of other summaries that you can go through. And there's also on the next page, I've got a summary chart for you. And then the final page, I've got a blank mind map. But what we have done is we have done all the non-specific and all the specific immune systems. We've done the barriers, we've done second line innate, we've done third line specific cell-mediated immunity, and third line specific humoral response. There is a lot to do with the immune system. It's really, really interesting, and you will get confused to begin with, but it's practice, practice, practice. Use the mind maps we've got to try and formulate your thoughts. So the mind map that's on, hang on, page 19 of your notes is this one. So this is just my really brief. I did this in about 20 minutes, I think. I tried to flesh it all out. So I wouldn't suggest that you pause and just copy what's here, because that's not the point of a mind map. The point of a mind map is that you try and expand out all of those things. And then you can come in and you can figure out what I'm saying with my little kind of summaries here. So this is in the answers document for you in the notes. But other than that, that's all ready to go. So congratulations, we've finished another area of study. Yay!